Welcome to the next edition of MTP. I feel like it's been a while. I would have had a lot to say last week with that loss to the Jets, so I'm actually glad that I wasn't on. But this is your first time listening to us. We thank you for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. You know, we're on YouTube, Spotify, all the places that you can find your podcast. I'm with my guy, with my brother, back in the building, Money Mike Marcangelo. And man, how you doing tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good actually after that awful fucking loss. But I think we're gonna find our grooves again in this next hour here, right? I just have a sneaky suspicion this is gonna be one of those shows you don't want to miss.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot to tap into, obviously, between now and then, what goes on next week. But we're a quarter of the way through the season. You're New England Patriots, our New England Patriots are now 1-3, which I think widely was expected, right? I think that obviously some expectations I think changed obviously after winning in week 1. If those that remember our season preview, I didn't have them winning until the Jacksonville game and London. So I was obviously one of those that was wrong in the initial week, but in the weeks to come, they've kind of showed what I thought they would be. But there are some caveats in there. Well, like I said, we'll do that deep dive as the show unfolds. So like I said, they lost again. I said they're now 1-3. They lost to San Fran at Levi Stadium 30-13. So Jess, what were your major takeaways, from yesterday's game?
Yeah. So first of all, I think that the most glaring takeaway is it's the offense or lack thereof. There's no continuity in the offense. Whether it's our bright spot offensively is Rhamondre Stevenson, and this is the 4th consecutive game with fumble. Like he just keeps fucking fumbling, and like you had said in the chat, this Bill would have benched him.
Right, exactly.
But Jerod can't because there's really nobody else. Well, in theory, he still could. Yeah. I'm with you.
Not fast.
But
I mean, Gibson's played well enough where you could have got away with him for this game, especially when, like you said, there hasn't been much to talk about anyways offensively with them. So I think for this game and then what Gibson has been offensively in the few games, he showed some flashes where he's been decent in the backfield, especially in the passing game. So I think for this game, you could have got away with it, but keep going with your point.
So obviously, I think the offensive line is the most glaring issue on the team. We know that it's been talked about. We're going to continue to talk about it. Jacoby's been pressured more than any quarterback in the NFL, faster than any quarterback in the NFL, and it looks like he's trying to walk in quicksand anyway. So like that's just a bad combination. But one of the things that I think like really stuck out of my mind that I want to talk to you about too is I don't think Alex Van Pelt is setting up this offense in a way for Jacoby to succeed anyway.
Yeah.
Like if you know that the gaps are offensive line, you need to like quickly trash those fucking play action 7-step dropbacks. Mm-hmm. He's not going to have that time. It should literally be the old Patriot play action pass where it was 3 steps, fake, and then you just dump it off. Like the big knock on Brady early in his career, not to just talk about him, but the big knock on that offense from like 2001 to 2005 was that the majority of their passes were really just runs. Right? You're not throwing them any further than 3 yards out. And then like you see what happens. We need that in our offense right now. Yep. And I know you have a wild stance on Jacoby, but he's not being set up for success either. And I would also back you up in the sense that if he were set up for success, I don't think he's good enough to achieve it.
Right, correct. And listen, that's why I use the word caveat in my opening, right? So listen, to say that I think he's played subpar is putting it lightly. So for those that have got text messages from me the last few weeks, how I feel. Once again, there's some things I'm just not on air. Because I love this show and I want to make sure that we continue to grow in the right direction. So I won't do that. But I can say that he's been subpar. I can say that I'm not pleased, excuse me, with how he's played, at the quarterback position. But yeah, you're right. Alex Van Pelt to me is in over his head. Jacoby is in over his head. The offensive line collectively is in over the head. Our head coach Jerod Mayo, I feel like, is in over his head. And it's in over your head, coupled with you're not really allowed to make the decisions that you really want to make, because I feel like it's still being told from Elliot Wolf and Jonathan Kraft and Robert Kraft what they want. And it's just like, my thing is, if you were going to give him the position, which you did, you said, hey, you're the heir apparent, why not let him run it as he sees fit, and not just saying like, oh, like Van Pelt's the head coach of the offense, and DeMarcus Cousins and this, and so on and so forth. So I don't know. I just think, to me, but they haven't given Mayo the cachet that they should at first. And once again, I know you have to earn it, obviously, especially after what we've had the last 24 years. So I get that to an extent. But like I said, to the Brissett thing, man, listen, it was a Play-Doh offensive line. So once again, now that I'm off my, because I was very emotional yesterday afternoon, and I'm going to get emotional again with some stuff that we talk about later on. But just right now, I'm giving I'm an analyst more, right? Listen, Nick Bosa was looking like prime Jerome Brown, Reggie White, Bruce Smith, Deacon Jones, you name it. Like
Richard Seymour.
Like whatever great defensive lineman you want to put out, John Randall, you name it. Like, hey, you want to put it out there, like that's where Nick Bosa looked like. And once again, he's talented anyway, so I don't want to make it seem like he was heightened because of the bad offensive line. Like, dude is a dog regardless. He just can't stay healthy. But him at 80% yesterday would have been better than anything that he could have blocked. So it was a joke. I think I forget. I want to say, I don't know what half it was, whether it was first or second, but there was a play where they had just made a few plays in a row. I'm like, okay, they're trying to move, and whatever left tackle was out there, because they had a million of them yesterday. Like, he went to go block inside. I guess the play was like, I guess to crack the lineman that was going through the B gap or whatever. Man, Nick Bosa went around him like a shark in the movie Jaws. I can't even get it out. It was like I blinked and I said, "Oh my God, he's in the backfield." I blinked, like couldn't even get up to go get popcorn and water, because it was just, I'm like, wow, this is like what can we do?
Jacoby, Jacoby's almost to the point where he's not going to be able to blink. Like his brain won't be able to do that because he's taken so many hits.
Right, and listen, like I said, we'll get into the a thing that we had spoken about on Twitter yesterday. We'll get into that later on, but I just think, for me, it blows my mind, like you said, how they haven't set up, the offense in general just to be successful. Once again, Pop Douglas should be a guy that's featured in this offense heavily, and he's not. The fact that Tyquan Thornton at times has gotten more targets is a joke. Once again, I love what Hunter Henry has done so far. Austin Hooper has some positive plays in yesterday's game, but it's just like there's not enough. Like, we don't see seam routes being thrown. Like, I remember that when Hunter Henry first got here. Obviously, Josh was running the offense, so Josh loved seam routes. That was something that was one of the staples of his offense. I don't know if they have the time to run seam routes, obviously, because sometimes you need Henry or Hooper to be in there blocking. So, it's kind of hard to get them to run a seam route or an option route in the middle of the field because everything is being covered. So that's that. But yeah, it's I actually what my what your pros and cons were, but for me, like I said, like you said, it's the offensive line, and then Rhamondre, man. And once again, there's not been a bigger fan of his game on the show than the man that you're listening to right now. But I'm real disappointed in him right now. He's someone that's supposed to be the guy, on our team offensively, and he has constantly put us in a predicament to not be successful. Or you're making a few plays, and then you run just a regular, halfback dive or a halfback stretch play, and then you're fumbling or you're letting it go, and it's just like, what is going on? Do we need to call it Jerry Rice? And ironically, he was in San Francisco yesterday, but do we need to call it Jerry Rice and say, hey, can we order some Stickum? Like, my thing is Velcro something shit. Like, what are we doing? Because at this moment, like I said, I would have benched him just to send a message like, hey, regardless of what you think you are to this team, and you are a huge part of this team, you don't need to be out here right now because you're taking away from the team in a negative way.
Yep. No, I mean, 100%. I think, and by not doing that, Jerod is telling us without saying the words that he doesn't think he has enough players on this team to still win, to be competitive in a game.
Yeah. Well,
right?
he said it. He said it, right? He said it, I think, in his presser today. He was like, he was talking about the turnovers, but basically,
Right.
as you just alluded to, like, hey, we don't have the team that we can lose a turnover battle and, still
win a game.
Effective, still win a game. You know what I'm saying? So I think that he's telling us, like, hey, like, we're a long ways away. And once again, we knew that coming into the season. It's a different thing to see it unfold. And like I said, people's expectations slightly changed when they went into Cincinnati and won. And, rightfully so. Once again, regardless of what people think about Cincinnati early in the season, they've been a perennial contender the last few years. So there was reason for excitement. It was warranted. So I want to preface that and give that credit where it was due. But since then, man, like I said, it's been a downward spiral. And I don't know how they get out of it, because like I said, I'm not sure if they can get out of it for this season, right? Obviously, there'll be some other bright spots, that we'll talk about later on here, hopefully, but there's just not much to grasp from, right now.
Well,
so,
here's what I would do, and this is out of the box thinking, right on the spot, but I want to run it by you. I mean, I think right now I'm still of the mindset I don't want Drake to play this year. I do not, but I think he's going to. I think probably because Jacoby's going to die on the field, and I hope I'm being dramatic, but he's just getting his ass kicked.
Yeah, facts, yeah.
In the meantime, you call Josh McDaniels right now, and you have him work with Drake for the remainder of the season, because Kraft doesn't want to pay Josh to come in to be offensive coordinator. That's fine. He wouldn't even have to, because he's still being paid by Vegas for the next 5 years.
Right.
But whatever. I don't want Drake learning this offense from Jacoby or even Alex Van Pelt. I want him to learn how to communicate this offense through the eyes of Josh McDaniels, because again, that is the old system that maybe Brady had a ton of pocket presence. Of course he did, right? But even when Matt Castle was in there, even when Jacoby was in the Josh McDaniels offense, he wasn't getting hit like this. And everyone's going to say, well, yeah, but you had a better offensive line. But people forget that going into 2014, they traded Logan Mankins. Scarnecchia retired the first time. So they had nobody, and they won a Super Bowl that year. Yes, because of Brady, but Brady wasn't getting hit that much, because it was always, you literally get it. If it's not your first read, get it out. Like, throw it away. I would much rather see a game from Jacoby where he's 19 of 43 for 175 yards, and we know that 15 of those throws he threw at the feet of the receiver, so he wasn't going to get sacked, right? I'm fine with that. But right now, he just sits there and holds the ball for fucking 7 minutes.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another thing too, right? We can speak about how woefully bad that line has been, right? And once again, it's warranted from every show that talks about the line that are Patriot fans. Like, it can't be stated enough. We get that. However, it's, the line obviously helps the quarterback, but the quarterback also helps the line. So there was maybe three of those 6 sack checks that yesterday could have been avoided had he just threw out of bounds. Once again, I'd rather you get intentional grounding than you get a sack, right? Because he's lost it down, but once again, you most likely wasn't going to do nothing on 2nd and 9 anyway. So throw it out. Intentional grounding is now 39. If you get a screen for 6 yards, you point fine whatever you play field position. But once again, he's holding. Oh, then he's holding some more. And then, another sack for the Patriot. Like, and it's just like, damn, like, you're not, and I get it, right? It's easy to be the armchair on Monday night, right? As we're doing, right? It's easy to say that, but it's like, dude, you're not 5'10", 185. You're 6'3", 235, 240. It's like, shrug some people off you and then just throw it out of bounds. Once again, that throw to Polk, which should have, that was a catch. Let's be clear. Because once again, but that was his best throw today to Polk. We'll get into Polk later on, but that was a hell of a throw. Granted, it was in, a million defenders, but he caught it. I'm not sure why it didn't count, but whatever. But I think
his right foot never landed in bounds.
Gotcha. Okay, because I'm like, but it still looked like both feet landed, but it was like,
it was close. It was really close.
It was close. But I just think that and it also goes back to what we talked about, I think, a few weeks ago too. We're no longer and not to say that it would have been anything different with Brady towards the end of Brady's career. We know what happened with N'Keal Harry, how he got robbed in that Chiefs game, but we're no longer at the point where we get the benefit of doubt any call. Like it's
right,
just,
like that hook and ladder play. If it was Brady, Amendola, and Edelman, they would not have called blocking the back.
Not at all. Not at all.
Because it wasn't actually blocking in the back.
No, yeah, I was shocked at how well they executed that. I was like, oh, okay, this looks good. So once again, they have some moments to play the Gibson for the, it's like, and so it goes back to what you just said. Antonio Gibson, granted, I'm not calling him Kevin Falk. So for those that listen, you Kevin Falk. No, I'm not saying he's Kevin Falk. So calm down, take a deep breath. But at times, he played that role of the Kevin Falks, the J.R. Redmonds, the Danny Woodheads. Like, he played that role. So it's amazing how good they looked when he ran a few of those screens, one of them being for 45 yards. And he did that in the Seattle game too. So you would think middle screen, left screen, bubble screen. Once again, you got Pop Douglas on the outskirts, and you can't get him a bubble screen or run a middle screen for him.
It's incredible.
Backfield.
I mean,
even Ty. Listen, I don't think Ty Porter is the real deal at all. I don't. But we've seen it in the Cleveland game a few years ago. I think that Brissett was playing it for ironically. But if you put him in space, he can actually do something. Right. We've seen it a few times. So I'm just like, I don't know. And it just goes back to Pelt's been given too much cachet for a guy who hasn't done anything in the league.
But even, like, what? 100%. 100%. What you're saying though, like, right? Like, if you think about just how ridiculous it sounds, like, screens used to be the bread and butter of the New England offense.
Right.
Have you seen it? Have you seen a team run worse screens this year than the Patriots?
Well, so to answer your question in short, no, right? But in the same breath, it's how they're blocking it though, right? Like,
I know they can't even scheme it.
Yeah, there's no patience there, right? Like, you're supposed to, be that deflection. Okay, let them, okay, I'm thinking of a word. I don't know why my brain's escaping, my word's escaping me, but decoy. Be that decoy. Let them rush upfield, especially with someone like Bosa who wants to. Let them rush upfield a little bit. Then you dump it over the top, and you get your 7-8 yards. Now, maybe they seen it because of the formation, or they knew out of desperation they were going to start calling some of that stuff. But I don't know. But like I said, it just goes back to how they're blocking it. And once again, the line they had in week 1 held up pretty well. We have not had that line, since. And they were going to be in trouble regardless, but they were definitely going to be in trouble if they couldn't have any continuity on that line, even if it was bad for the rest of the season, right? Like, that you had to have everybody at least 90% healthy to have a shot, right? They were running the ball really well early on, and then had a couple of timely throws, right? Now it's just like you can't do much of both, and it's like now you become super predictable, and you just look lost out there offensively. So yeah,
I just don't understand. Like, just to button up the Jacoby thing, like, I don't understand how, for someone who's as under pressure as frequently as he is, and as quickly as he is, how he just stands there and looks so slow and still. It's like, man, you had 10 days. You could have gone to one of Diddy's houses, got some of his freak out stuff, and slip and slide your way through that pocket and stop getting your ass kicked. I don't understand it. We remember the days in 2013 or 2012 when Brady was seeing ghosts. He was seeing people that weren't there, and he was ducking and diving. Jacoby, he has every reason to believe that he's about to be hit in 2 seconds, but he just stands there and pads the ball, holds it. It drives me insane.
Yep.
Drives me absolutely insane.
Yep. And actually, I don't know. I don't know what fixes it. I mean, obviously, what fixes it would be a better offensive line, but it's just like I don't know if anything changes. And I'm like, when you got guys like Tom Curran and other pundits saying like, oh, like, they're praising him for his toughness. And once again, yes, like that's cool. But when you're when your two best players offensively have been the punter and the kicker, it's scary hours. Once again, Joey Slye, I'm once again I have to say, if there's one thing we figure out here the last 30 years is a kicker.
Yep.
Once again, I'm not trolling on that. Like, it's the truth. Like, from Vinatieri to Gostkowski to even Bailey before things went south. Like, they to special teams has not been an issue up here. Maybe 2022 was a little bit of a problem, but other than that, like they figure it out here. And Mayo's done it again. Like, the Behringer has been great. Those two are probably going to be all pros. But once again,
Right.
you're in bad shape when you're thinking about the all pros being from the special teams. Once again, you would like to have more. Like, I think obviously had Jordan been here, Jordan probably would have been an all pro. Gonzo might have a chance to be an all pro. Like, he's been really he's played really well. Check out the article that we did earlier today about Gonzo, him shining amongst all the chaos. So check that on MTP show .com. So we have a few articles out there. So check that out. See what we were writing there. But yeah, it's crazy, man. But I want to get into the defense too, because we didn't speak about that a little bit when we met earlier. But just how do you feel the defense is performing overall? Like, and even you can talk about the whole team, like just what would you say their performance or their grade is the first 4 games? But just what have you seen from the defense? Things you think have gone well, what they need to improve on?
So I think the immediacy, right? Like the first thing that comes to mind is that they don't have a pass rush. But we kind of knew that was going to happen with the injuries to Barmore and with Judon going. But now with Jabril Peppers, like, he's coming on and off the field so frequently in games. Like, he's banged up, he's hurt. He's playing through it, and you like to see it. They just we need the Josh Uches and the Devon Godchauts to step up and to become the players that we just paid them to be. Right. So it's glaring how, the difference between how much time Brock Purdy had in the pocket.
Right.
And how much time Jacoby did not have in the pocket. I think ESPN did some sort of stat on this, that Brock Purdy had the most time of any quarterback dropping back in the pocket in week 4. So, and it was on average, just an average, it was 5.3 seconds. That's like an hour.
That's 5 seconds.
That's like an hour.
Think about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that's an eternity. That's unreal. Once again, even 3 seconds would have been long, but 5, like, once again, he ain't San Fran.
But to the credit, like that
to go through, it's crazy.
Like,
wow.
Shanahan deserves credit for scheming that, because it's really hard to blitz the 49ers because they have so many different outlets, and that's even without McCaffrey being there. And I mean, you have Debo, Ayuk. I mean, Mason has been awesome. Kittle is I think he's obviously the second best tight end in the league right now. And it's really hard because if you overcommit, they're going to burn you. If you give them too much time, they're going to fucking burn you. So it's a perfect storm for this Patriot team to be going up against San Francisco right now. But Christian Gonzalez, I think he's been really good. I do not think he's been great. And the reason why I don't think he's been great is because, yes, I think in the course of his career, again, I'm going to give you approximate stats, but I think he's only let up something like 65 receptions for like 200 yards against him and in his career, which is great. But he is not playing one-on-one the entire game. He's doing what Richard Sherman used to do, which we used to criticize Richard Sherman for as Patriot fan, when people would call him a lockdown corner, be like, nah, you play zone 60% of the time. And then when your guy lines up on your side of the field, yeah, you can shut him down, but you can never follow him. I want to see more of that from Christian Gonzalez, because if he has that, then we have the next great corner in New England. But it's really hard for me to fairly grade the Patriots defense because they're on this field far longer than they should be.
Right.
So I think if time of possession were equal in most games, I think I'd be like, yeah, you know what? They're probably a B+.
Yeah.
But just based on the fact that it's, back-to-back weeks of 25 or more points, or 24 or more points, whatever you want to call it, I can't call them a great defense for letting those points up, but they are on the field far longer than they should be.
Well, it's also the short fields because of the turnovers, right? So I'm talking about from offensively, like obviously, Brissett had an interception yesterday, like that one, the pick six to Warner. Like, so I think offensively, they only like the 49ers offense only scored 17 on this. The rest of it was off, pick six and then, field goals. So 17 offensively is actually not bad, especially with a team that's that loaded, right? So once again, get that caveat. But it's wild to me just how at times they can't get off the field when they need to. But once again, if you're gassed, right, as they've been at times, that's what it is. But as much as I love him as a returner, it's kind of scary seeing Marcus Jones out there on the corner. It's giving me Ellis Hobbs vibes, and I get upset.
I mean, I would take Ellis Hobbs at this point, minus that one game.
Yeah, of course, but
one play.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's fair. But I'm like, man, I like Marcus Jones. I think that Marcus Jones has been decent when he's been healthy here. That's another guy. What happened? You had a whole package for him, and then you just said no. Like, once again, you need all the dynamic playmakers you can get. And we've seen for a short moment with him in, I think, 2022, you throw a screen, the man can run for 40, 50 yards. He had a perfect touchdown. I was there for that Jets game when he scored a game-winning touchdown. Like, I just don't know why the playmakers you have, you shy away from. Like, I just don't get that. And it's like I said, it's insane to me. But as far as the grade, I mean, I think B+ is that's generous. I would still give in the B ratio, but it'd be more like a B-, and that's because of the not getting off the field at times. But your point to time possession, you said the time of possession, if that was even, well, guess what? Sunday it was pretty close. It was
no. That's why, but don't get caught up in that though. So the Patriots had one of their longest drives at the end of that game when it was over. When it was it was like 30-7, right?
Yeah.
So like they were out of it. So yeah, I think San Francisco let up a little bit. That's when you see that Antonio Gibson 50-yard pass. Like that was one of their. First of all, that was their longest play of the season, I think. 50 yards.
Yeah, since the Seattle game, yeah.
Mm-hmm. They have 7 plays of 20 yards or more this year. San Francisco had 6 plays of 20 yards or more against us. So their offense is anemic. But if you just take away that last possession, then you're talking about we actually held the ball for meaningful minutes when we were close enough to make it a 1-score game. Mm-hmm. It wasn't 28-25. It was more like you had the ball for like 22 minutes.
Yeah.
22 minutes out of 60. Like defensively, you can't win.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, I don't know. I mean, obviously, guys have to get healthy. I mean, I know Kendrick Bourne should be coming back soon. Cole Strange should be coming back soon. Yeah, I think City Soa got hurt too, so maybe he comes back. And
David Andrews, man,
Andrews as well. So I think once again, if they get healthy at the right positions, obviously, maybe it looks a little bit better. Once again, if you do just replicate what you did in week 1, I'm talking from a blocking perspective. You're not going to get 5 turnovers, whatever they got. That's not what happened. But even then, right? Peppers with the INT, they get the fumble on the return to start the second half. So I'm like, okay, like here we go. And for a moment, it was like, okay, you get the field goal at the end of the half, and they kind of did. It looked like the double whammy, like how it used to look. You get the turnover, you score on a short field. I'm like, okay, here we go. And just like that, San Fran comes back and scores. Now it's 27-10. And I'm like, well, ball game, because it's like the momentum was there. And maybe, like I said, if you have the Judon there, you have the Barmore there, you get the sack there. Now it's like, okay, now Slye maybe gets the field goal. Now it's 2013. And it's like, it's like momentum. And once again, San Antonio, I'll think about basketball, but we'll get into that shortly and as we get into October with that. But San Francisco at this moment to me was right for the taking because of how they've looked so far and who they're also missing. Once again, Sam Darnold came in there and looked like a Randall Cunningham or a Fran Tarkenton for them. Like it's out of control. And those guys were healthier in those weeks. So I thought, well, maybe you have a shot. But it's like, and it goes back to what we talked about. I know we were supposed to move on with Jacoby, but I can't. I fucking can't.
Did you just say Sam Darnold?
So Sam Darnold, Andy Dalton, who I wanted to be back on here and give you your flowers about the Andy Dalton thing, because you said it, because we was like, no fucking way does he come out here and do anything. And you was like, hey, he did it a little bit in previous spots, like he might do it here, and he has. Granted, they lost yesterday, but he had a really good performance. Obviously we've seen what Geno Smith has done. We've seen what Joe Flacco did last year, right? And now he helped, the victory yesterday against Pittsburgh. So it's like to see all these bridge guys, backup guys do well, and you somehow, some way got the worst fucking one. It pisses me off. And not only do you have the worst one, you paid him $8.5 million. That's really why I'm mad, Mike. It's not about me thinking they were going to be 3-1, because obviously I didn't, or even 2-2. It's like, yo, you got a shot. You could have got anybody else, but because he knows the area, and he saved us with Tom Brady. He was on Deflategate. I don't fucking care, dog. Like he sucks. He's so bad. And even if we had a top 10 line, he will still suck. And that's the thing. I want people to let go of that. No, it doesn't matter what we had in front of him. Like he's not good. And once again, he is the worst of the bridge quarterbacks in the NFL. And it's not close. It's not close. That's really the biggest issue of all. Because once again, that's why, and I'm gonna segue into the spoil thing that we talked about yesterday. It's like, yo, when you got a guy that might go 19-32, $150, maybe a touchdown, but maybe 2 or 3 picks, maybe. You're like, yo, what? This is not competitive. Let me at least watch something I'm going to enjoy. Because that's what you brought up. I just want competitive football. So do I. We're just looking about it a different way. I want competitive football. It's not about you losing. It's how you lose. That is something I've said religiously on the show in the 4+ years that we've been on it. It's not about you losing. I've said about the Celtics, whatever. Like, it's not about how you lose, or it's not about if you lose the game. It is how you lose. You can't be embarrassed. And I'm big on that. And they've been embarrassed, the last couple of weeks. So it's just like that, to me, is problematic. So that, the floor is yours on that. But I just, to me, that's where a majority of my frustration lies.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, I can't disagree with you on that, because I did say at the beginning of the year, I expect their record to be somewhere between 3 to 5 wins.
Right.
But I thought that it would be, my hope was that it would be more competitive. Like if the entire year were like weeks 1 and 2, I'd be fine. I'd be completely fine, because you were in both of those games.
Right.
You can't have it be weeks 3 and 4. Like that's embarrassing.
That's it's brutal. It's brutal. So and so it leads to what I said we got into on Twitter about yesterday. So myself and there's others that have the same mentality as me, because obviously with us winning so much that we've seen in our lifetime, help us get to the middle ground, Mike. That's the word that you use. So talk me and any other fan that is like, look, it's Drake Maye time. It's get rid of someone, like get rid of whoever, but number 10 is you to feel. So talk me and any other fan that has our spoiled mindset, as you so eloquently stated yesterday on Twitter. Talk us off the ledge and get us to the middle ground, because right now it's looking real bleak.
Well, personally, I don't need to talk you off the ledge. If you're on that ledge because you think Drake Maye should be playing right now, then I don't know what the fuck to do with you.
Yeah.
First thing, based on what you've seen so far, why would you want to subject the future, the hope of your future, of the quarterback of the England Patriots to this? And you're going to say, well, you don't want to stash him and hide him because you can't protect him. Like, that's bullshit. You've said that to me many times. But right now we have a situation where the guy that's dropping back knows how to make the reads, knows all the progressions, knows everything, just can't do it. Doesn't have the physical attributes to be a successful quarterback. So you want to swap him out with someone who doesn't know how to make those progressions as quickly? And
but has the physical attributes.
Yeah, so you're going to sub out a guy that's going to go 19 of 32 for 167 yards and a touchdown and a pick for a guy that's going to go 19 of 45 for 250 yards, 1 touchdown and 4 picks. Because Drake's going to throw a ton of interceptions, a ton. So it's not
yeah.
What is the benefit of putting him in there now, knowing what we know about not only the offensive line but schematically, and then the wide receivers? What benefit is there to him?
So I think so. It's something that I go back and forth on because it's hard. And granted, every situation is different. So I want to put that out there. It's hard to see Caleb Williams starting to figure it out. It's hard to see Jaden Daniels really start to fucking figure it out in Washington. Because are you telling me that team was that much better? I know they beat us last year, but are you telling me that Washington was that much better than New England and they were just a quarterback away from looking this good? Really? Because there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way.
Who's their number one wide receiver, right?
Terry McLaurin. I mean, in my opinion, I think he's
yeah.
Yeah.
And do they have a close number 2?
I mean, not to me at the wide receiver position. No, I feel like Robinson, who's a running back, is their probably number 2 guy, in my opinion.
Okay, who's our number 1 wide receiver, right?
Who should be or who is?
Sure, either one. Tell me.
Who should be is Pop, and I say right now it's probably Hunter Henry.
Sure, but there's a difference, right? Is that they were missing a quarterback that could get the ball to their playmakers.
Mm-hmm.
And now in a situation where we are with the Patriots, our playmakers aren't developed enough yet. So you want to put a guy there who isn't developed enough to throw to people who aren't getting open because the line can't give the quarterback enough time. It doesn't make any sense to me.
But that's what I'm saying. But like, was Washington's line that amazing? But that's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't like, listen, Sam Howell was putting up, he threw for 4,000 in that offense last year.
Yeah.
So is that
it's a different offense now? But what I would say is, like,
no fact
again,
I'm right. But I'm saying he put up 4,000 with that team. Is what I'm saying. So
a reason why you can't compare the two is because Washington decided, Dan Quinn said we're going to run an LSU type offense for Jaden in his first year.
Right, they catered to him. Okay, that's right. Okay, bam, bingo.
So we're not doing that. So why put the kid in there?
That's that. Okay, thank you. So I'm glad you said, because I forgot about them saying that. That's the problem. Chicago did it. They said, okay, hey, we're going to do some things you did with Lincoln Riley, and we're bringing the talent, we're bringing X, Y, and Z. Yeah, he's had some bumps in the road, obviously early on, but he has an upward trend. Caleb, you see what Jaden Daniels is doing now with running for like 8 for 75 and then doing 20 of 26 for like 275. Like I'm like, you have to cater to the guy. Like, shout out to Mike Greenberg, who said that. Like, he said, yo, your only job is to cater to these young quarterbacks to make sure that you put them in a position to be successful. So when they drafted him at 3, because once again, myself and many others said that Drake Maye was going to be there at 3, and he was. So great. Do whatever you need to do to speed up that process. And I'm not saying that he had to start week 1. Once again, from a fan perspective, I want him week 1. Okay, fine, whatever. He just start. Great. But I don't know if they've done everything. Well, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know. I do know. They have not done much to cater to what he could do best. Because Alex ain't trying to. He was not trying to in the preseason. He wasn't trying to. And
why put him out there? Why put him out there?
But I'm saying, then my thing is, what was the point? I'm trying to think. What was the point of make sure he's on the team if you think he's 2 years away? If that was the case, I'm not saying that's the case, but if they thought he was 2 years away, what was the point of drafting him now?
Well, you drafted because
once again, tell me what he's learning from Jacoby Brissett outside of getting knocked on his ass.
Nothing.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing.
What we learned from Alexander Pelt?
Hopefully nothing.
Okay, so that's problematic to me that a quarterback that's not going to be here long term, he's learning nothing from an offensive coordinator or offensive head coach that he's not learning
Well,
much from. That's the problem. And then those guys may both be gone in a year, so that he got to learn a whole nother offense and then learn those schemes and learn whatever footwork. It's like that's a problem to me. Get the guy that you want to be paired to him for years to come, not just runaway or some layaway coach. That's the problem I have. And like I said, it's not so necessarily not playing him or whatever, but it's like, yo, if he's learning by looking with a temp board, then what are we doing? What are we doing?
I just want to. Okay, so first thing, I do think as a rookie in the NFL, you can develop more than just learning from like the actual offensive scheme and the abilities of Jacoby Brissett. I mean, I'm sure Jacoby's teaching him how to be a leader, on how to show up for your team, how to never keep your head down, right? All that stupid shit.
The intangibles,
and learning the schedule about when to be the first man in there, be the last man out. This is the working like there. I do believe in preparing for 1 year while being in the NFL is beneficial. But what I want to say to you is everything that you just said is right, and I believe it. But it does contradict your point of he should be in there now. If you know that they have not put anything around him for him to be successful, why then would you want him to go out there and flame out?
So my only counter argument, because that's a valid question and point. I think my only counter to that would be, and I've seen this in basketball, so that's why everyone knows that I'm a basketball guy and I love talking basketball. So I've used the analogy of Vince Carter before, right? And once again, different sport, but it's just see where I'm going with this. So Vince Carter was someone that kind of flamed out in Toronto after having a great career there. And people was like, after a while, it was like, man, like what's going on with Vince? And, can he still do this? Can he still that? He gets traded to New Jersey. All of a sudden, he's not missing games. He's hitting threes from 35 feet before Steph Curry made a thing. He's dunking on guys like Alonzo Mourning, like it's his job again. You're like, oh, where was this at? And I just feel like, other teammates start playing better. So the reason why I said it, I just feel like sometimes when a scenario or a situation changes, guys step up that wouldn't normally step up. And what I'm thinking could happen, once again, I said I could be dead wrong because I'll be wrong. I've been wrong before, be wrong again. When guys feel like they have a shot, is what I'm getting at, right? I'm not sure they believe they have a shot when Jacoby's back there. That's just my personal belief. Once again, I could be wrong. I think they like him as a person. They like him as a teammate. So cool, and that stuff matters, right? But the on-field production is like I said, there's a big discrepancy there. I think that because they may feel they have a shot if Drake was playing, they would play different. And I think to me that matters. That shock, that energy would be transferred. The shift's about to change, or energy about to shift. Like that, I feel like that could happen. Now, once again, could that be sustained? We don't know. But I don't know. I just feel like when guys, especially when it's a short season, the way the NFL is, when you're full weight 4 games in and you're already 1-3, you're just like, man, like I'm giving up my body on a weekly basis, and we're getting smacked every week. Like I don't know. I just feel like that change of pace could help. Once again, it doesn't mean it would, but it could help. And that's my only counter argument to that. Like I don't know if that's valid or not, but that's the only thing I can think.
I think it's completely valid though. But if you think about it right now, they have a quarterback who is not. I mean, aside from the pick that he threw yesterday, which by the way was his first turnover of the season, but he's not turning the ball over.
Yeah.
So right now you have a guy out there that's gonna take an ass whipping for you. Is always gonna come back into that and say like, this is the next play, guys. Like we can do this. He's gonna be the guy,
right?
And maybe he doesn't have the physical attributes to win you a game, and you're gonna sub that up for a guy who he is a rookie. And yeah, I do think that the line might want to protect him a little bit more. Maybe receivers might want to get a little bit more open, but at the end of the day, like, and we know that the play is going to break down faster than it has in recent Patriot memory. He doesn't know where he's going to go. And the worst thing for a quarterback, I think, or the worst thing for Drake Maye is a scenario where now we're 5 games in, we're 1-4, or for 6 games in and we're 1-5, whatever it might be. And the things that are plaguing this team are offensive line scheming, and the receivers can't get open. Mm-hmm. I don't think quarterback play is in their top 3 issues. I don't. I truly don't. I think we when you have Jacoby Brissett, you tell yourself, all right, like he's not going to be great. All we need to like just be good. Don't
Right.
lose this games. I mean, he how do you go from a guy who started like 3 games last year and had 147 quarterback rating to now who started 4 games this year with a 77-point quarterback rating? Like it's the same
like
guy.
that's it's mind boggling, but it's just like, damn, like I don't know. I just think to me, the dude, he's just a happy. Once again, if you're speaking about you wanted him in from a character perspective, cool. Because like I said, that matters. It does. I won't sit here and act like it doesn't matter because it does. But it's ultimately what you do on the field that lasts and that matters the most.
I agree with that, dude. But like, listen, you and I were both wrong in the sense that I was the most wrong in this scenario, and I was like, you could have got Russ, could have got Russ, could have got Russ,
No,
could have got Russ.
fact.
And he hasn't seen the field. And if the same thing had happened, you paid Russ the 1.5 mil, he hasn't seen the field, and now you have to start.
I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm cool with the 1.5. Sorry, as I was sweating like a Baptist preacher. When the 1.5 wouldn't have been like that. That to me, I'm like, that's throwaway money. And once again, it would have been on brand with what Kraft does because he doesn't want to pay guys more than their market value. So great, not a problem. So you bring back Jacoby.
However, he hasn't played though. Like, so the problem that you're trying to solve.
We don't know that would have been the case that he got here though. We don't know that. Sure,
but like, let's say all things are equal.
Yeah,
and you bring in Russ to be the bridge quarterback because you don't have to pay that much money, and at least he gives you a better chance to win than Jacoby. Right. And he gets hurt in training camp, and now you're in a situation where you either have to play Drake Maye or you have to play Joe Milton.
I mean, there's some. I mean, even though I wasn't in this camp, but there's some people that would have been like play Joe Milton, which would have been wild. But
yeah, to sacrifice Joe Milton instead of Drake, that's what people want to do. By the way, I'm one of those people.
So
if Jacoby goes down,
I mean, now would there have been some? Yeah, but the problem is, and what would have been, because we saw a little bit during the preseason. What if Milton somehow, some way had figured it out? Once again, I'm not saying this would have been the case.
He wouldn't.
No,
not because of him. Not because of him.
But there's always a chance, right? I'm saying, let's hope.
Yeah.
There's a world where that happens. What is the case that he comes out and looks? This isn't even like Sam Darnold. I'm not saying
in this scenario where I'm trying to talk you off the ledge of Drake Maye being the starter. I can't admit that there's always going to be a chance to starting Joe Milton. Like that's counterintuitive. So we're not. I
got you. Okay,
I just refuse.
Cool. But in this case, like I said, in my Spider-Verse, in my multiverse, right? Say he does well. That would have been even worse because you're like, oh shit, like this dude went 21 of like 35 for 260, 2 touchdowns, and he scored a rushing touchdown.
And he threw 3 picks.
That would have been, oh my God. Oh, that would have been ugly because I can hear the calls on 98.5 right now. You gotta go with Joe.
Listen, man, like
that would have been so that would have been crazy. Once again, if we had the Zappy fever here, we damn sure would have had the Joe Milton fever. Like, so I'm glad that it didn't get to that point, even though I enjoyed what I saw from him in the preseason for the most part. But I'm glad we didn't get to that because that would have been insane. But because someone that let us know about it was Joe. Joe let us know about the about Tannehill being linked here. Would you have wanted him here? Would you want him here at this moment?
I can't. I mean, you can't pay Tannehill $10 million and Jacoby 8.5. You're paying $18 million to 2 quarterbacks that are not going to be here in a year. Listen, if you need I would cut
Jacoby. I'd cut Jacoby.
You're not going to cut Jacoby. You wouldn't.
Who wouldn't?
Well, I know what you would do. You can't.
Wait, I'm like, you forgot who was on the air with? I'm as dun-dun-dun. The New England Patriots have signed Ryan Tannehill for the rest of the season. Subsequently, right? Therefore, however, whatever transition word you want to use, Jacoby Brissett has therefore been released. Here's a statement from Robert Kraft. Jacoby Brissett was X, Y, and Z for the organization. We thank him for X, Y, and Z. It is both stints here. We wish him the best in his future endeavors. Cool. And I'd have been like, Robert Kraft, I thank you. Because anybody, it's ABJ at this moment. Anybody but Jacoby.
You gotta,
hey,
but
baby.
Ryan Tannehill's real money. Craps aren't going to pay that. So, no. I mean, in the sense that I want.
I'm concerned with, and I'm not saying this is not a 10. Let me be clear. It is evident at this moment, like beyond evident, that, or without a shadow of a doubt, whatever, however you want to phrase it, that Robert Kraft is no longer concerned about winning. Period. I don't care what he says during press conferences.
There we go. This is going to be rolled into the Rays a spoiled little bitch again.
Yeah. So yeah. No, good. We can get right into it. Great. That's. I mean, I brought it up before, but like I said, decided. But he's no longer concerned about being. At least no. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. He's no longer concerned about being competitive. There you go. Because what winning is not guaranteed. So let me be more clear. He's no longer concerned about being in the hunt. He just wants. Once again, it's about like so and so is at the lighthouse and go to fucking Red Robin and go to Five Guys and get your shopping and go to Showcase Similar Deluxe. Like that's what it's about. It's no longer, once again, I went on that rant in the preseason where it's like it's no longer you come in there and it's it's about the family fun. And family fun is cool, but it used to be kill or be killed. And now it's like, hey, you can you can score 40s, but it's like, hey, as long as you had a good time, that's all that matters. It's a fucking joke. It's a joke, but go ahead. But go ahead. But us being the sport brads, and how dare we want to be in the hunt? How dare we? How dare we want to be in the hunt and not be?
How dare you expect to be in the hunt in year one of a rebuild when you have made it in your mind that this isn't year one? It is. Bill and Tom are both gone. Now, this is year one. Mm-hmm. This is you. I guarantee if Doc would have stayed after that Brooklyn trade and they kept one of the three pieces of the big three, you would not have considered that a rebuild in year one, and you would have given them more grace than you're giving the Patriots. 100%. I see.
No. So I'll speak to that, right? Because this is not. Let's go back further. So remember the team they had before KG got there, right? And the 07 that team, and granted, this is a 16-year-old already talking like this, but I still have some of the same principles I had at 16 like I do now. We saw that team lose 18 in a row. And I said, I can't do this next year. I said, if that's gonna do this, I said, because my thing is, remember, his first year, they won the Atlantic Division, right? Won the Atlantic Division. Then I think they went 33 and 49 the next year, and then they went 24 and 58. So I'm like, well, damn. I said, you go from division, you trade Antoine, you trade some other guys, and then you're getting worse each year. I'm like, yo, get this man out of here. I had him on the hot seat going into the year they got Garnett. So they get him, things change around. Cool. Now I was mad that he didn't want to be there part of the rebuild, because I'm like, well, yo, like, we stuck by you when this team had lost 18 in a row. You want to mean you don't want to stay around for this? Like, are you for real? And I didn't trust Brad Stevens. Like, once again, thank God. Obviously, years later now, what's happened, because obviously Doc hasn't done much since really of anything, and we've been successful outside of Brad Stevens' first year here. So that's cool. So yeah, so no, like I said, yes, there would have been some slight differences there, but ultimately, I'm always gonna root for. Or not root, but I'm always going to be happy for seeing guys compete and be in the hunt. And once again, the NFL season, there's too many jobs on the line each week to not make sure it's somewhat competitive. Once again, if guys get injured, if guys,
which they did,
which they did, obviously, well, that's different. But it's like to not even field a team that can be competitive is a problem. Once again,
the lens you're putting this through, dude. Yeah, two in their first two games, they won the first one and they lost a thriller in the second one.
Yes,
and so they were competitive. They've been competitive in half of their games this year.
Correct.
And the sky is still falling for you. Remember, you asked me how I would talk you off the ledge.
Right.
Get it in your mind that this is year one. This is a start. 2021, 2022, 2023, 2020. So Bill was just trying to get as many wins as he possibly could without spending as much money as he needed to catch Don. That's it.
So you know what's also tough too, and I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday because I shared the screenshot. When Bo Nix goes 12 or 25, for 60 yards and they win by 1 in New York and you couldn't put up 3 points. And don't tell me they're not rebuilding either, because after the season they had that shit, they gave a fucking 7. Don't tell me they're not rebuilding either. They are, because they are in Denver. Sean Payton or not, they're rebuilding. So you go into Denver, you go into New York and you hold them to 9 points, and we couldn't get fucking 3. We only scored 3. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. I can't accept that. I'm sorry. I get it. I get it that, you could say year 0, year 1, whatever. I can't accept seeing Bo Nix get a victory. And we couldn't get to 10 points. I'm saying I'm not sold on it. I'm sorry. That to me is comedy. He didn't crack 70 yards and they won.
Yeah, it rained 6 inches in that fucking game.
Man, I don't care if it was fucking
Aaron Rodgers couldn't crack 220. Coming off the week where he threw 280 and he was perfect.
Right, but I don't care if it was the Hail from the Day After Tomorrow. Shout out to Dennis Quaid. It's a great movie. I don't care if it was hail out there.
Well, but that's the thing, dude, is that you expect the results, but don't care about the context. You don't care. It's like, Bo Nix threw for 60 yards and they won. So if Bo Nix threw for 60 yards in that Thursday night game against the Jets, and everything else that Aaron Rodgers did was the same, do you think that the Broncos would win that game? Hell fucking no. Hell no. Passing game was eliminated.
But
Did Breece Hall run on us?
No, I don't think Bristol played. You don't think he played? I don't think he played.
Against us?
I thought he didn't play, but I was like, did
they run the ball on us?
No, they threw over the parking lot with us. Throw all over the yard. Whatever they want.
Is it easier or harder to throw in the rain?
No, it's harder. Obviously it's harder. Okay. But listen, 9 points. I don't know. It's wild. It's wild to me. It's like it felt like the Mac Jones game in Buffalo. That's what it felt like watching that, seeing that.
Okay.
And obviously, we know what happened after, but it's just like, damn, they're both 2-2. And once again, like I say, I think it goes back to, okay, let's go a little bit deeper, because I haven't really said this, Discord or on the show, but whatever, we're here now, and it's in my mind now. So let me just put it out there. And I know that he's probably going to get some other shots because of him being appointed by Robert Kraft. But so I have an issue with seeing them struggle, because I know what the outcome usually is for Black coaches. And I haven't said this, but that's really the root of why I'm mad. You don't have a chance to be bad. You don't. Steve Wilkes, what was the dude's name in Chicago that DK had?
Let me say.
You don't get the chance to be bad. So it's like, I need to see the best team possible right away. You don't get the same chance to ever. That's really the root of why I'm like, yo, you got to put motherfuckers out there that's going to help us win right away. Not in 2026, not in 2027, not in 2028. You got to do it right away, because just because it's here doesn't mean he's going to be granted 5 years to get it right, regardless of what's being said in the media. Regardless, I don't trust it until I see it. So that's really, and I haven't said it, but that's really where I'm like, no, you don't get afforded the same shot. You got to come out swinging. That's why I was so happy for him, even though I thought they weren't going to win that much. I was so happy to see them beat Cincinnati. I'm like, yes, if you could build off this. And then you had the Seattle game. You had it. And then it's like you got to find a way to salvage something. And that's why I was so gun-ho, like, yo, you got to find a way, even if you went 8-9, because if you look 8-9, you're like, okay, they're building something. Then some guys will come. Then it changes to 10-7. It might build up, depending how it goes. Then you get the free agents, and then you get the whatever. That's why I was so gung-ho on that. So you don't get the chances. And that, once again, people, I want someone to say something stupid in the comments so I could go left. But y'all people that's hearing me, and y'all fucking know, y'all know I'm not wrong. And if you think I'm wrong, I got 2 words for you, and you know how to finish that. But it's like, you know that I'm not wrong, and that's really what I'm. And it didn't dawn on me till right now, really, but that's really the root of it. I know that coaches that look like Jerod Mayo or DeMarcus Covington or whatever don't get a chance, and the fact that his success is fucking tied to Alexander Pelt makes me sick. That's really what it is. It's a problem. It's a problem. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with the premise of what you're saying. But what I would say is, when was the last time that a minority coach, right, was signed on to replace the greatest coach of all time a year before the greatest coach of all time was fired? And Bob Kraft, lots of faults, lots of them. He's only hired 3 head coaches in 30 years.
Correct.
Pete Carroll, Belichick, and Jerod Mayo. He doesn't like lots of turnover because that would reflect poorly on his brand.
Right.
So while I understand 1,000% with what you're talking about, I agree with, in any other situation, those feelings are 1,000% warranted. I do think here it's a little bit different. Obviously, Kraft thinks so highly of Jerod that, again, Bill Belichick was still here. He was still a coach and a GM, and Robert signed him to a deal that said, "You're the next guy."
Yeah,
that doesn't happen.
But okay, so that's yes. So that was a story that is true, obviously. So my thing is, if that's the case, if you're saying you're not a guy, you're the guy, and we're investing in you not just for the right now, but for the future. And once again, and you had the space. It's not like you had 10 million in the cap space. You had a good amount of cap space, not just this year, but next year, I think the year after. How do you not say? And once again, they did a good job of bringing guys back that were key contributors. So fine, cool. But how do you not say, hey, you know what? Because I know, or I believe that he's the guy, let me give everything to him right now that puts him in that position for us to get back to where we used to be, or at least a stepping stone to where we used to be. That's really my issue. And once again, you're not telling me that Alex Van Pelt. Once again, I'm happy that guys like DeMarcus Cousins got a raise, right? He's been here since 2016. Like that. That's dope. Awesome. But I talked about this with some friends earlier. The only tree that Jerod Mayo knew was here, right? It's not like he went to a Carolina or to like a Green Bay or to a LA Chargers. Like he can kind of meet other guys and have them come in. His thing, his tree, his Rolodex, so to speak, was all Patriots guys. So he had to rely on other guys upstairs to bring people in. And I don't know. I just think, to me, it wasn't prioritized the way it could have or maybe should have been. If you're saying he's the guy, because once again, year one of the rebuild or not, I'm not saying that you need to win 13 games, because I was saying that's absurd. But like I said, the 7-10s, the 8-9s, fuck around and go 9-8, right? Like that type of stuff helps you to build. And then once again, when guys like Rhamondre give statements like they did a few weeks ago, when they say, "Oh yeah, it was just another game, another loss." What? That like I don't want to hear players say that. I don't.
Right, that's a losing mentality.
Yeah, I can't get with that. That's why I'm like, yo, you got to find a way to win games, or like you said, be in it, right? Because it's a different feeling when you say, "Man, we were right there." Like we were right there, like this play, that play there. It was a game of inches, cool. As opposed to shit. So we got off the bus.
Yeah.
Like, that motherfucker was over. There's a difference. So it's like it's a fine line. And once again, but like I said, in the NFL in particular, and I'm sorry, because I'm going on a rant, but it's like there's too many jobs on the line on a weekly basis to go into something mediocre or half-assed. That's all. And I feel like that's what they did.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, I'm with you. And I think, listen, again, I think he's going to be the guy. I think Kraft is committed to him for at least 3 years, at least 3. And here's what
left this year. It was bad. Mm-hmm.
Not to get into like draft and what I want to happen, but here's what I want to happen. I want to have a top 4 pick. I want in free agency them to spend money on the offensive line.
Right.
And then I want them to draft Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
But if you spend on offensive linemen, you don't need to draft one. And
Right.
And he's gonna and he can play corner. He can play wide receiver. He's a showstopper.
I mean, listen, him and Gonzo at the corners, and then you put Jones at the slot. Good night. With Duggar and Peppers, hell yeah, just sign me up. But once again, my backup plan is obviously 71 from LSU, Will Campbell.
Yeah,
no, but that's so cool. That's fine. It's cool. But I'm with you. And yes, you're not gonna find Trent Williams, but you're seeing what's happening right now. These teams in the offseason, they're paying the linemen that have been there. They're paying these guys. You got to do that. And the thing is, we let Shaq Mason go. We let Joe Tooney go. And Shaq Mason has won since he's left. Granted, I know the teams are different, but still, he won a team. Joe Tooney has won since you've got to sign guys here and bring him. Once again, I'm glad they did right by Michael Manu. They did right by Landry Trent Brown. I hope he gets well. So I know he's out for the season with his ACL injury in Cincinnati. But it's damn, you've got to take care of that position. And they've been negligent, to say the least, in that finding. And everything is not tied to Dante Scarnecchia. That was a cool thing to hold on to after a while. But it was look, he's been gone for a while. I don't care if you have to get Bill Callahan in here. Do something. Do something that's going to get this line in order. So whether it's through free agency, whether it's you drafting Will Campbell or the kid from Texas, I forget his name. The name is escaping me right now. But I'm here for it. You got to figure it out. So we got some more stuff again. So I want to get into the Dolphins game. Before that. So we got the Dolphins next week coming in. I think at 1:00. Just what. We don't have to pick. They're gonna win. We're gonna do the picks in a minute, but it's just what has to happen for them to even just look competitive in next week's game? Because obviously Tua's not gonna be there, but just we know how Mike McDaniels is as offensive play caller.
Yeah, I think. Listen, you got to lock down to the best of your abilities, Tyreek Hill, like you have been able to over the last couple of years, right? And that's gone. So put him on them. I would love to see a no turnovers on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Love to see them establish. Honestly, I don't understand why this doesn't happen, but the first play, your first offensive play for the Patriots should be a play action pass.
Yep.
A short one, not a 7-step drop back. So I want to see a more cohesive offense, because this team's not good enough to use the run to set up the pass. So they need to use the pass to set up the run. Because that's their.
And week 1 and 2, they were, though. That's what I'm saying. They were. Right. That was happening. Gibson and Stevenson were doing great. So
right, but they scored in their first couple drives in both weeks. If the opponent does,
they gotta play ahead. They can't play behind. They have to play ahead.
Right, they cannot play behind.
Yeah.
So in the first quarter, get 7 points or 10 points. I don't care. Do one of those two, and then you're gonna have yourself a good day. I think. Listen, I really like Tyler Huntley. I liked him in Baltimore. He's a new quarterback for the Dolphins. I think he might be okay. But I mean, you just have to play a cohesive game. It doesn't, and again, this sounds like shitty of me to say. It doesn't matter to me if they win or lose that game. At the end of that game, if it's 24-21, if it's 17-14, you're in it.
Right.
Just be in it. Just that's all you need to do is just be in it.
Yeah, yeah. And once again, that's like I said, that matters. Once again, obviously, is and I talked about this after week 1. It was cool to see them actually close out a game. And once again, eventually, you want them to get back to that point where they're building the habits that close out games and not just be an almost thing. Once again, I've used this line many times on the show. Brandy taught us that almost doesn't count. Once again, great song, great album, great songstress. But I want to see some closing happening, right? Or the other movie, Glenn Larrigan and Ross, always be closing. I need to see them 8 keys. I need to see that. So something's got to give. And I don't know if
great movie.
Yeah, another great movie, right? Yes, shout out to Alec Baldwin. But yeah, so it's just man, it's too much, too much.
Did you say Alec Baldwin?
Is that
him?
Yeah, he's in that one. Yeah, he's in that movie.
Oh, yeah, you would know that. You love your 90s rom-coms.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's in that movie. It's either him or the boy, but no, I think it's Alec. But anyways, yeah, I just think that they have to figure out, just like I said, just how to be competitive. I think if they get more screens involved. I think they're gonna have to play more zone, obviously, against Tyreek. Like you can't do man to man, not all the time, anyways. I feel like you maybe shadow him with Jones and Gonzo. Talk about Tyreek Hill, and you put somebody else.
Waddle's going to kill you again. I mean, by you, I mean us.
Yeah, but
he does every time.
You have to pick your poison, like so.
Right.
So I mean, fine. If Waddle gets off, then so be it. But that's just that. I mean, I feel like Huntley did have some moments in Baltimore where he played pretty well, especially towards the end of his stint there. So maybe
with no offensive weapons besides Mark Andrews, and
right.
So he's walking to a great situation right now.
Right, exactly. So you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe he has a bit of a resurgence. I expect him to have a resurgence because I feel like, the problem
he's a Pro Bowler. He's a Pro Bowler, just like Mac Jones.
So the problem is, every team comes, whether it's coming here or we're going to their house. Every team looks at us at the beginning of the week, whether it be the Sunday or Monday, and say, if we didn't play well the week before, this is a get right week.
Yeah.
That plain and simple.
Yeah.
And I know
as they should.
Yeah, exactly. As they should, right? And I know they're playing right now against Tennessee as we record this on the Monday night. But it's funny because they've struggled with Tennessee the last few years, which is wild. But once again, styles make fights, and Tennessee is big and physical. So I think that anytime you're a finesse team, you play a big and physical team. It leaves room for error in that regard. So I think that's what's happened. But yeah, I think with us, like I said, they're gonna figure out that they can score on us any way they need to, and it'll be over pretty soon. So as soon as they get off the bus, I feel like they'll be honestly, I'll be shocked if the England wins that game, but I got Dolphins winning that one big. So, but let's get into the rest of the Week 5 picks.
Big.
I think Dolphins.
It's that it's a 1-point spread.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
I mean,
it's a joke because once again, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when they lost to Seattle. You have to show me that you can close at home.
Yeah, they can't.
And they have.
I think Miami's going to win. I don't think it's going to be a fucking like a smackdown like you're saying. I think like Miami by 4. I'll take that.
No, I'll take that but do I? No, what I'll take what I think is going to happen. 2 different things. I'll take them losing by 4. Okay.
Yeah, but you think they're going to lose by 10?
Absolutely not. Yeah, by 10, easily. I can easily see it being 24-14, easily. Okay. Once again, it could be 17-14 going to the 4th, and then 3rd down. It's 3rd and 8. Huntley steps back. Looks for Hill. Hill is wide open. Oh, what a catch. He's at the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10. Touchdown, Miami. It's like game over. So I could totally
just remember it's here.
It's here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it's at. It could be at Hard Rock. It could be at Pro Player. It could be at the Orange Bowl or Orange Stadium South. It could be at Foxborough State. It doesn't matter where they're playing at. They have not done what they need to do to close at home. So until they do that, I don't trust it. So that being said, let's get off that. Let's get into the Week 5 picks. So Thursday night. So we got Tampa Bay versus Atlanta. Who got in that one?
Listen, I've been picking against Kirk Cousins in the primetime games this year, and I'm coming out on the losing end of that. I believe in whatever they're doing down there. I think that team is fun to watch in the sense that they're starting to learn how to play together. I also love Tampa Bay. I think what Baker Mayfield and the squad have done has been awesome. I thought his comments about going in there and teaching the guys how to have fun again after Tom makes him look like a pussy and a loser, which he'd never won anything. So like that's fair. And I loved what Tom said. I thought winning was fun. I thought winning Super Bowl trophies were fun. Oh, like he's right.
Man said I was stressed when we weren't winning.
Right.
So,
of course.
So think about that. We went from that to, man, I hope they can lose by 4.
Well, right. I'm taking
what a fall for grades, baby.
I'm taking Atlanta in this game.
I'm taking Tampa. I think that what Baker's been able to do out there has been incredible. Once again, as far as the Tom Brady comments, I love the response that Tom had. He's starting to wake up in the booth.
He's getting good.
we're starting to see that competitor come out again, where he was like, huh, like me, this guy, you talking about me, like if he could have said get the fuck out of here, he would have on air. So I'm glad he's starting to wake up in that regard. But yeah, listen, when you still could throw to Godwin and to Evans, who should be a first ballot Hall of Famer, they've changed his career, and he's found a home down there. So I think, like I said, that those NFC South games are always close. So I'm
going to ask you a question though, not to belabor this point. Pressure situation, one drive to win it. Who would you pick, Baker or Kirk?
Kirk Cousins.
Me too, and that's
Kirk Cousins. Yeah. Only reason why I wouldn't, because even though they both had the gunslinger mentality, I felt like Baker is a little more erratic in those moments, and because he's so concerned about being, he's still in that mode where he's still concerned about being the reason why the team wins, as opposed to like just win like regardless. That I feel like he'd make a play at the end that's like, yeah, what was that? Like, this is not Detroit. It'd be one of those ordeals. So, but like I said, I got Tampa win this game. But like I said, but if it comes down to the final thing, like I said, I trust 18 once again in the regular season to get that done. Like I said, we already talked about Miami in New England. We think that Miami's going to win that one. So
it's going to be close though.
Yeah, in your mind. But so first London of the London series, we have the Jets versus Minnesota. So who you got in that one?
Oh, God, I'm going to take Minnesota. I really think the Jets are going to win, but
yeah,
I think Darnold, the way that he's been balling out, Jefferson, I think that's too much for Sauce Gardner, and I don't know that something's going on there in Minnesota.
We're gonna find out, because he said respectfully, I'm not Garrett Wilson. So Garrett Wilson, is your time to shine. It's so show you better give somebody on Minnesota 10 for 150. You better get them 10 for 150 and 2 touchdowns. But this, once again, and I'll say it every week until they lose or they go on a big losing streak. But this is why I know, and I know y'all touched on it last week. But once again, having just one big weapon can change how you play the game. Yep. And I had a feeling when he got in there, I said he might have a resurgence. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, I don't know. I was like, he wasn't terrible. Once again, I think he played with some guys at USC. Obviously, once again, when you give these guys somebody to throw to, they look halfway decent. What a concept. So I say that to say Minnesota, once again, I think they're 2.5 point favorites, so that's basically a pick 'em. I'd go Minnesota. I think it becomes a shootout, especially on a neutral field. I'm gonna say Minnesota wins, 30-27. So next we have I call this the Caleb Williams Bowls, because they should have been a Carolina Panther. We got Carolina Panthers versus the Chicago Bears. We could just say Chicago, right?
Yeah, Chicago.
Next, Baltimore versus Cincinnati. Listen, I was high on Cincinnati's the underdog at home. Listen, the way Baltimore's playing right now, you know how I feel about Derrick Henry. Once again, he's going to be that guy in the regular season. I know how you feel about them come playoff time and what he's been, but I got a lot left in the tank.
Yeah.
And that the 87, I said, whoa. I was as much as I've been a fan, I was blown away that he could still get away like that. Because
22 miles an hour.
Out of there, gone. I said, whoa, that was special. But yeah, Baltimore wins this at least by a touchdown.
Cincy.
Yeah. Well, granted, they usually wake up around this time, but we'll see.
Well, because I had them splitting this.
Oh, that's right. So this is the one you got.
So,
okay. Exactly.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I just feel like Baltimore's hot right now, and the way they handle Buffalo, I just think that this is the game they'll get in. Cincinnati will get the one later on.
But this is a letdown game for the Ravens.
They're hot though. I don't know. They're hot right now, so I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that could happen, because like I said, Lamar got to give me more than 156 though. I can't. Once again, I've been but 156 is not okay.
Is it just me, or is the AFC North, like any divisional matchup for them, is that always the hardest to pick? Because they all play each other so fucking tough. So tough.
Always. Even when Cleveland was back.
Even when the Browns were shit, Cincy was shit. Like they would give Pittsburgh and Baltimore runs for their money.
Yep, facts. And I mean that's just how it is. It's just how I think how that football is up in that part of town. So I love it. So next we have the potential Stephon Diggs revenge game. We got Buffalo versus Houston. Houston is the 1 point favorite. So I mean, like I said, that's basically a pick 'em as well. So who are you rocking with in that one?
I mean, that really means that Buffalo's favored because that's a home game for Houston.
Mhm.
That's usually 3 point swing. God, I want Houston. And it would help all my narratives because I love CJ Stroud and I hate Josh Allen.
Mm.
But I'm gonna pick the Bills. I think
Mm.
to get I mean after that embarrassing loss last night, they have to come back.
So I think they have a better, performance. I still think they come up short. I think that Stroud hits Diggs late for a touchdown and the crowd goes crazy. So I'm gonna rock with Houston on that one there. So next we have Joe Flacco versus Mac Jones. Indianapolis versus Jacksonville. So who you got in that one?
Oh, Indy.
So even with
Indy.
Flacco, even with Flacco.
I would say because of Flacco.
Okay. Yeah,
Say that from a guy who drafted Anthony Richardson in the 4th round of one of his fantasy football leagues.
I'm really annoyed with how his career is going so far. And I said, I'm a Gator fan, and I thought that he could produce at the next level, but I just think that he's just proven not to be durable right now, but he's also not playing smart with the ball, right? He's not sliding when he needs a slide. And because he's 6'4", 250, he's just trying to run around and just, throw his weight around. And I wish that he would talk to Cam. I wish that he would even talk to some other guy that would base Josh Allen of the world. Like, you can't just throw your body around because you're 6'4", 250. These dudes would knock you on your ass every single time because you're a runner, because you're a threat, a dual threat. So I hope that someone speaks to him to smart him up because he needs it badly. But that being said, I don't trust Jacksonville at all. So I'm gonna go with the Colts here. Next, Cleveland, Washington.
Washington. Don't even waste any time on this.
I just think that I think Daniels is another great. They're 3 point favorites now at home. So I said that.
Good.
Vegas thinks it's going to be closer, but I think that Daniels is going to do whatever. Just stay away from 95 because that's a bad man, regardless of how bad the team is right now. Next, this is another thing too. Same thing with AFC West. Always play hard. So Vegas versus Denver. Who you got?
If Devontae comes back and plays, I think Vegas can win that. But ultimately, I'm gonna pick the Broncos. I do think that you're seeing what a cohesive plan, strong and intelligent head coach does for a rookie quarterback, and obviously with Bo Nix. So I'm gonna take the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm riding with Denver too. I think that as Antonio Pierce said, like they made a business decision a few weeks ago. And I mean, listen, they're not that talented. They're really not. Obviously, Devontae Adams is the problem. To me, you'll never fully win many games with Gardner Minshew as your lead quarterback. He's a really good bridge/backup. He's really good in that regard. But
Get ready for Devontae to be sent to the Jets mid-season.
Well, it's crazy. Teddy Bruschi was talking about, he should be sent to Kansas City. And I'm just like, now that sounded like, like when you're the best player, once you get fucking Randy Moss. So I get it. Like that's what his mindset was. But it's like Devontae on Kansas City. Once again, if you're Vegas, why would you even?
It's in the division. They can't do that.
No,
I mean, you could do it, but why the fuck would you?
Like you don't give. Like that's why I used to always laugh when teams would trade certain guys the pitch. I'm like, what are you doing? Like you thought like what? Like you thought it was okay? Like it was always a fleece. Like, and once again, like I think about basketball too. Brad Stevens getting to that stage too, where they're not going to deal with him no more. They're going to be like, hey, like you fleece us every time, and he really doesn't. He just gets the best out of certain players. But it is what it is. So yeah, rocking with Denver there. So next, we have Arizona versus San Francisco. San Francisco, like
San Fran.
It's not going to be close.
But I'm picking Arizona. I'm picking Arizona to cover it. It's 7.5 point spread. So,
I mean, they just got beat by 30 by Arizona. I mean, by Washington. Let's be real. Come on.
It's a get well game, dude.
You lost by 30 to Washington. Like, I don't know. I don't know how get well you can get, but they about to get even sicker than they were last week. So next we have Green Bay versus the Rams. I'm going with Green Bay here.
Me too.
Sorry, Dave. Jordan Love is still a guy. He's still the guy. I'm sorry. He's still really good. I know he had 3 picks, but I think that's just probably part of it because of the rust. Yeah, and threw for almost 400 yards. Like, dude is a baller, period.
To this point, are just too banged up, right? I mean, no Cooper Kupp, no Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
I mean, Stafford's getting his ass kicked. I mean,
yeah, that's another guy. I mean, granted, I know he's not going to get traded, but man, in a heartbeat, in a heartbeat. But he did get killed here too, obviously. So Green Bay on that one. So next, Giants Seahawks. I'm going with Seattle. Seattle's.
I mean,
I'm gonna go your line and I'm gonna pick New York to cover because they're 6 points favorites. But I'm like, I think the Seattle wins.
And right now Seattle is down 21-7 against Detroit at halftime. Monday Night Football. So and that's gonna be. I mean, if they happen to lose this game by more than 14 points or even 10 points, it's gonna be a fucking get right game. And the Giants are the perfect team to get right against, just like the Patriots. But I mean, Malik Neighbors is everything as advertised and more. Like he is that, and he looks that good even with Daniel Jones.
So that lets you know how good he is. So the next Sunday night game.
I can't wait for this.
If this was the 70s, man, everybody would have been around the TV, big old bowl of Jiffy Pop, with your whatever drink is whatever drink of choice. The Cowboys going to Heinz Field, man. So who you got in that one?
I mean, I got my popcorn for Bob and DK, all the shit talking. I hope that it's great. I can't think of 2 teams that I actually hate more, but I love Justin Fields. Right. I really do, and I want him to do well. And I think Pittsburgh, like to DK's point, throughout the course of the year so far, is they're getting teams to play their style. That defense is suffocating, and it looks like Justin Fields is getting better and better every week. So. Right. I'll take Pittsburgh, and I'll take Pittsburgh by 10.
Right. Yeah. Oof. Okay. Yeah, because they're 2.5. Yeah. I mean, listen. I hope it's a decent game. I'm around with Pittsburgh too. I think that they come in angry after what happened. Last week losing to Indianapolis, which was so on brand in recent years for Pittsburgh to be running through teams and then lose to a team like Indy. They shouldn't lose to who was at quarterback. So. It is what it is, but shout out to a Steelers fan I met earlier. That was at work. My coworker, he said he's a Steelers fan. I just want to reiterate again that you have not beat my team or our team in New England when it matters. I just want to put it out there, buddy. So when you listen to this tomorrow morning, I just want to put that in that air for you when this matters. So whether it's Cordell Stewart, or whether it's Charlie Batch, Tommy Maddox, Ben Roethlisberger, it has not mattered. We've got the job done. So I just had to say that. So cool.
And whether it's Mac Jones is our quarterback,
Mac Jones, quarterback, Bailey Zappi, whatever, hasn't matter. That's so fucking sad.
So are you're taking Pittsburgh?
Sad, so funny, but I just had to put that dig in there. But yeah, no, I got Pittsburgh winning this as well. And then to close out the week 5 pick, so we have New Orleans going into Kansas City.
I'm picking Saints.
Oh, okay. But I think Kansas City finds a way because just like they found a way last week to get the Chargers. Like this is what they.
Well, I mean,
what they do.
It's what they do. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm tired of saying they're going to lose a game. They should win. They're going to find a way.
I picked Kansas City to win every game so far this year. So this is the first game I'm picking against them. I just think that this is. I mean, what you're seeing right now is that Kansas City was ranked first in the league at third down conversions over the last 2 years. They're ranked 14th in the league now. Something's wrong with them at this point. And losing Rashee Rice is, I mean, that's fucking huge. That hurts. Yeah. So I think New Orleans has enough of an offensive game plan to work, and their defense isn't that bad either. So give me New Orleans in the upset by 3.
Okay. I mean, listen, I'm intrigued. We'll see how that rolls. But yeah, that's that. So before we get out of here, I wanted to touch on a whole different sport, but it's also here in Boston. So like I said, we're not going to take too much of your time. Like I said, just we were depressed about the Patriots. We're depressed about the Red Sox to an extent as well. But their regular season just ended. They finished the season right at 500. They were 81. They missed the playoffs for the 4th year in 5 seasons. So just for some of the games that you watched, I know, like I said, we didn't get a chance to watch every game or talk about them enough in the regular season, but based on what the expectations were coming into the season, do you think that they took a step forward, or do you think they took a step back?
I mean, I think 81 and 81 with the injuries that they had, whether it was Giolito, Whitlock, and Trevor Story, like early on, and then they have to go through Rafael Devers getting hurt towards the end. I think 81-81, if the last 3 seasons hadn't happened, you'd be like, okay, this team actually built on something, right? They weren't great, but they were competitive, and all we wanted was all we've been asking for in Boston recently has been just give me some valuable and competitive baseball in August and some in September, and they did that for the most part. They fell off pretty late in August there. So I think if Trevor Story can actually come back and play, even if it's just DH, I think if Giolito and Whitlock, if they're all healthy, do you get 9 more wins out of this team? And if you do, then you're 90 and 72. And I think we're talking a lot differently here.
And even with that, right, I feel like they could have even got the 88 and 74 this year had they not blown some of the bullpen leads, right? Because there was a lot of times where they had the offense to win the game, but then it'd be like 6-3 and then they lose 7-6, or it'd be 4-1, they lose, 6-4 and 10. And it's just like, damn, like if you just held on, but like I said, the bullpen got tired out. You got, Chris Martin that was out for most of the year. You traded for Lucas Sims from Cincinnati in July. But I know this just happened recently, obviously, he didn't play at the end of the year. But, what do you make of that Kenley Jansen situation? Because obviously he didn't finish out the year, and there's been a lot of swirling reports about his activity in the locker room. So do you think he should have finished out the season regardless, or are you okay with him going home early like he did?
No, I think, listen, if he's not being a good teammate, you need to get him out of here. So and if they gave him the out publicly that said that he left instead of he was sent home, like good for Boston and good for the Red Sox, great. But this team they don't have a strong enough core that they can handle a bad egg. You know what I mean? Like they're going to need to have, this isn't Ortiz, Pedro, Manny, where Manny could be Manny. Like you need more. So whatever his situation is, if he didn't want to be part of the team anymore, if his activity within the clubhouse was bad, get him out of here. Just get him out. We can't have that because, again, I don't think you're as far away from being competitive as some would lead you to believe. I do think there has been some acceptance of mediocrity here for the Red Sox over the last 4 or 5 years, which is fucking baffling.
Agreed.
Baffling.
Agreed. Yep.
But like you're not far away from it. So I mean, I think you're probably going to ask me about like what do I think Breslow should do? Like you need to spend, and you need to go from being the 13th best spender in the league to if you go from 13 to 7 this offseason, that shows your commitment, and you're probably going to win 93 games. So do that. Right. And I don't know what you need. Again,
I mean, you need a starter, you need a closer, you need another bat. The need is definitely pitching. Like let's just be honest. Like you don't have to watch every game to know that. Like you could tell by the box score, you could tell by the highlights. Like if you just watch MLB.com, like you could tell that in the later innings, they got shelled. They got shellacked. So it's like the middle innings they just weren't successful there. And Mayo needs to be better. You most likely lose Pavetta in the offseason as well. But, Cutter Crawford loses 16 games. That's fucking insane. Like you say, he lost for what? Tanner Houck, who was an all-star this year, didn't win a game in the second half until, 2 weeks ago. So, like, that can't fucking happen. You feel me? Like, they had 3 all-stars. Should have been 4, I think, actually, because Kenley should have been an all-star too this year. So, to have 4 all-stars potentially, to have the All-Star Game MVP and Jarren Duran, there were definitely strides made this year, right? And like you said, you want competitive baseball in August and September. They had that. They were there. It sucks because Minnesota and Kansas City said, here, we don't want to go to the playoffs. Take it. We don't want to go, and they just couldn't cash in. So that was annoying, but just 2 more things to touch on, and then we'll get out of here. So, out of, Jarren Duran, Tristan Casas, Trevor Story, and then Masataka Yoshida, like, out of those 4 guys, would you move anybody? And if you did, what would you want as a return?
Well, I don't think you're going to get anything for Trevor Story just because he hasn't played at all since we got him. And it seemed like the Red Sox lost faith in Yoshida this year too.
Yeah.
So I listen. I think if you can get everyone back that you lost this year to injury healthy, and see what you have next year, I think you should do that. And then if they are getting better, and maybe you're not winning as many games, you can use one of them as trade bait towards the trade deadline. But I think they're going to have money to spend, right? Again, I just said they were the 13th highest spending team in the league. And when they won all the championships in 04, 07, 13, 18, they were top 7 every one of those years. Right. So like just go get a real fucking starting pitcher. I'm not asking you to go get Ohtani. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to go get a guy like that. It'd be great, but just
would you go after Soto?
Yes.
What would you give him?
How old is he?
I know he's in.
Is he 28?
He's close. I think he's in that ballpark. Yeah, because he was 19 or 20 when he came up. So yeah.
Give me 10 years, $600 million.
Okay, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
I do the same deal, and because it's the Red Sox, I get the opt out of it after 8.
Sure, do it. Whatever.
Yeah. So 8 years, that swing was made from Fenway Park. My thing is,
New York, him and Rafi back to back.
Yeah, New York probably offers that to him, so I don't think that they will let him go after the season he had there. And especially him and Judge were an amazing 1-2 combo. Getting Jazz Chisholm for them in New York was huge as well. So he's made a great impact on them since he's been over there since July. But yeah, I mean, listen, I at least want to hear that they offer. Once again, if he doesn't come, he doesn't come. But I want to
not a fucking John Lester offer, a real offer.
Right, correct. Like not no 8 year for like 280. Like
or what remember it was 5 for 125 or something like that back in the day. Fuck off, dude.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But then right around you give David Price 7 years, 217 the next year. You know what I'm saying? So, and once again, it still bothers me that Dombrowski's in Philly and they're in the playoffs.
They're in it every year.
And again, and once again, because you thought that he was wasting you money, you got rid of him.
When literally the majority of our young talent were Dombrowski guys. Still,
right? Correct. Like, so I'm like, how do you justify it? So that's what I'm saying. Henry's the craft. Once again, it's become more about how much can I pocket as opposed to putting a good product on the field. And once again, we talked a little bit about the prospects. You mentioned to me about Kyle Teal. You mentioned to me about Marcelo Mayer, who was a pick a few years back. You mentioned to me about Roman Anthony and then Christian Campbell. Those are all those guys you talked to me about earlier. I was like, I don't know if those guys make the roster, next year. But to answer your question about what the projections would be, I think at least 2 of those guys make the team next year. Mayer is in middle infielder, so I think that if you want to keep Story at short and then put Mayer at second, I know people are horny for Mayer at shortstop, but I'm like, hey man, Trevor Story is still an elite defender at shortstop. We've seen it in September when he came back. And it's like a quick aside on that, right? I'm a little mad. I know I just asked you the question about who would you get rid of. Believe it or not, I'd actually trade Casas. And the reason why,
because you get more back for him.
Well, you get more back from him, but I'm also mad at how he handled the season. So when they needed a left-handed bat badly in July, early August, it was like, I'm coming back slowly from the injury. Like I'm really close. I'm starting to swing. And then it's like you came back where they were damn near almost out of it, even though they were still somewhat in contention. But like some of the games with his bat, they could have won because he was extremely hot in September,
Yeah.
And I'm just like the fact that Trevor Story came back, 5 months after that injury, when he probably came back faster. Like I respect Trevor Story for coming back and trying to help the team win some games and honor that contract going into the end of the season. So to me, I would trade Casas, see what you can get, but also to me, he came off like a prima donna at some points this year. Once again, I'll get some flack for that in the comments, and oh well. Is Casas talented? Obviously, duh. That's why I want him on the field. But at the same time, I felt like when they needed him the most earlier in the year, I just felt like he milked the injury longer than it should have been. And once again, only he knows how severe it was, and the team does too. But I feel like and maybe who knows, maybe ownership said, hey, like we're not trying to win as many games. I know they were 53-42 going into the All-Star break. So I think after they won 2 out of 3 or swept Kansas City, they go into the break. So you were like, okay, like they're building something, and you got to invest in the team. And then, like I said, he wasn't back.
So they went 20. They went 28 and 39 in the second half.
Yep. 28-39. Yeah. Once again, another collapse. Once again, maybe now you got folks thinking that they gave Cora the money prematurely. That's a whole other discussion for another day. But whether we like it or not, Cora is the face of the franchise right now. He just is. Devers should be, but like I said, Devers doesn't really speak that much English, so there's only so much they can do as far as marketing with him from a business perspective. But I just wanted to be aggressive. Once again, we just talked about New England earlier in the show, not being aggressive when it came to spending and trying to better the team. But once again, you've seen the emergence of William Abreu. You've seen the emergence of Cedar Rafaela, who was amazing this season. So you have some pieces of the future. So now if you add the Teals of the world, Roman Anthony's, Campbell's, whatever pitchers that they have in the minor leagues, and you bring those guys up for 2025 spring training and eventually make the team, they can eventually do some damage eventually. But I just want to give back to October baseball. Once again, there is no better place to be than Fenway Park in October. I tell people all the time, and people think I'm crazy, but I will stand by this until I'm no longer on this earth. When the Red Sox are on fire, they're the number 1 team here in Boston. It's
100%.
It's not close. And people can say what they say about the Celtics and Patriots and whatever. When the Red Sox are rolling, it's a whole different thing. Once again, 2018 was a different type of level here. 2013, 04, whatever. Like it's a whole different meaning when those guys are on fire. Once again, I watch those highlights all the time of 04, 07, even 08, right? Like I remember, JD Drew coming through. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like
losing to Tampa.
I know it was sick, but it was just like, that was a great series overall. But my guy Jason Bay, right? Mad about that initially, but he was excellent his year and a half here. So that's like, can you make a deal like that? Can you go get a Jason Bay type guy? Can you get another Dustin Pedroia type that you drafted him, but like can you get those type of guys here? Because once again, Vaughn Grissom, the return on investment on him this year wasn't that good. While Chris Sale goes 18-3, and he's gonna be the Cy Young winner. And again,
sure is.
And again, news flash: Atlanta's going to the playoffs. Red Sox fans, they're going to the playoffs. They just won. They won earlier. They won 3-0 in the second game of the doubleheader against New York. So they eliminated the Diamondbacks, so they're on to the playoffs. And once again,
wow,
you got
18-3.
18-3. Because once again, listen, and shout out to my boy Aaron. Aaron knows how I feel about Chris Sale. I thought for a long time Chris Sale was by far the best pitcher in the American League. By far. When he was
until we got him.
No, but even his first few years, like he was amazing. Once again, he didn't do great in the postseason, obviously, but until those few moments in the ALCS and then the World Series. Once again, I'll never forget him having Manny Machado bow down. Yeah, I had him in one knee, on bended knee. I'm not talking boys to men. He had him in on bended knee, and I'll never forget it. Won the World Series. I'm forever grateful for that 2018 season. So I'm cool. He's good in my book. I just hate that obviously the extension didn't work, and he ended up his body betrayed him for the time being. But him going 18-3. A sub-3 ERA, which that does not fucking happen for starters anymore. I think he had over 200 strikeouts again. So
he's that guy.
Hey, like I'm not a guy. I'm still a B guy. And once again, as a Chris Sale supporter, I'm happy for him. I hope that Atlanta does well. That was always the team I enjoyed watching when we were kids in the 90s. They had a really great run. But Chris Sale's going to the playoffs, and Vaughn Grissom is now going to be with his family on the couch watching the playoffs. So it is what it is.
Before you end it, I know we're going long, but there's one thing we need to talk about. We do have breaking news. Pete Rose has passed away.
Yes.
The all-time hits leader passed away today. They haven't ruled what happened. it was reported that he was found by a family member at his home. There's no signs of foul play. But I mean, everybody knows who Pete Rose is. It doesn't matter if you're 15, doesn't matter if you're 75. Like that's what you call transcendence. He transcended every generation. He should be in the Hall of Fame. It's a damn shame that he isn't. I think knowing what we know now with sports betting, it kind of looks fucking ridiculous that he isn't.
Yeah, so fuck you, Paul Giamatti.
Well, at the time, like they were very explicit, don't do it, and he did it. So, you know, but I think
it was happening. But because his name was so big, they was like, let me attach it to a guy that it's like, well, damn, if he got the book thrown at him, imagine what they would do to me. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all else.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I just think that as a guy that he should have been once the whole DraftKings, FanDuel, sports betting thing took off, he should have been voted in to Cooperstown. It's a damn like, how do you not have the all-time hits leader in Cooperstown or the whole?
Yeah, same thing. No Bond, no Clemens,
no Barry, no Clemens. But
no, once again, to me that it's not a Hall of Fame without those guys in it anyway. So to me, it's a Hall of Very Good. Because you cannot have those guys, you cannot have them on the outside looking in. You just can't. I'm sorry. Like, so I think that's comedy. But hell of a career, obviously.
For wrestling fans, at least he's in the WWE Hall of Fame. And when he'll always be remembered as being, obviously attacked by Kane in 3 straight WrestleManias, but he left some tickets for Bill Buckner, but he couldn't bet down to pick him up. How about it?
Yeah, no,
that's the greatest line by a guest by a celebrity ever. So hopefully, I don't know what the parameters are, but my hope would be is that by this time next year, Pete Rose is in Cooperstown. It's you got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, especially when he essentially was on the straight and narrow after all that happened. It wasn't like he did some other wild stuff. It wasn't like he
just gambled.
Right, he just gambled. It was again, it wasn't like he, took somebody out of here. Like, and I get it ethically. I get it. Ethically, it wasn't the right thing to do. But it's like, once again, when you contributed to the game the way that he contributed, and he had the nickname Charlie Hustle. The man is one of the greatest players of all time. And he never, for lack of a better word, he never shortchanged the game. He never shortchanged the game. And one thing we do is never shortchange y'all. So for Money Mike Marcangelo, I'm Hollywood Rayshawn Buchanan. Until next time, we'll see you. Peace.